Okay. So I today is Saturday, October 5th, 2024, and it's the evening time. I have had the last 10 or so hours to absorb the fact that and the astonishing fact that I passed my PMI-ACP exam today. And I have had this on my bucket list since January. And I was like, oh, well, I'm going to take it around May. I'm going to take it around June, May, June, July, August. And then in August, I said, okay, give yourself until October. And it was like the universe was listening because the exam is actually going to change in November. They're going to rewrite the exam again come November. So I did it just in time. I passed the exam today getting an above target in all 7 domains. And that was like a little mini goal that I set for myself. I said I want to do more than just pass. I want to do more than just meet the minimum requirements, and I don't want to just be, at level. I want to be above target, and I was. So I know that what I did was the right thing to do. And so that's really why I'm recording these things now, because I'm going to make a video about it and I want to have all these talking points while they're still fresh in my head from what I can remember about the exam. The best advice that I was able to absorb through my studies was the advice that you need to adopt an agile mindset. Even if you don't know what all of the practices, what all of the ceremonies, what all of the terms mean. If you adopt an agile mindset, you can answer the questions correctly. You can answer the questions um, without issue and or not without issue, but you can deduce what the correct answers are. You can get it from like a 25% chance of getting the right answer down to a 50-50 chance of getting the right answer, or a 75% chance of getting the right answer, because you've eliminated the wrong answers. You have to know the 4 agile values. You have to know that. You have to know the 12 agile principles, and you have to understand everyone's role, whether it's vanilla agile, vanilla scrum, whatever it is. You have to know everyone's role. You have to know what the stakeholders' role is. You have to know what the project sponsor's role is. You have to know what the product owner's role is. You have to know what the development team owner's role is. You have to know what the scrum master's role is. And you have to know the different names for the person who could be in the scrum master role, but not going by that title. You have to understand the concepts without necessarily um, not being able to define them, but you have to understand the concepts and when to apply them. You have to know, given a situation, what comes next. And the scenarios were not too deep, they were not too complex. Some of the scenarios were a little bit like, what the fuck is this? But most of the scenarios, 90 to 95% of the scenarios, were very doable. So when it comes to identifying the correct answer, look for the option that includes the team. Look for the option that seeks to employ a team response, a team resolution, a team effort. Um, Look for the option that involves analysis, evaluation, collaborative thinking, and then making a decision. Try to avoid the answers, or try to avoid using the options that tell you what to do. The right answer is usually the option that tells you the next step is to collaborate, to come up with a solution, to let the team come up with a solution, leave it up to the team to come up with a solution, etc. It won't always be that clear, but you have to slow down your thinking and you have to read the questions for what they are. Don't add any information that isn't already in the question or isn't already in the options. Don't assume any information that you did not read yourself. And this was a thing that I had to get, this was a habit that I had to break during my practice exams because I kept assuming facts that were not entered or that were not readily present. But I got above target in everything, so I know I applied the correct rationale. I was a little bit annoyed by some of the things in the test taking site. Like, I was in the room with 10 other people. They had 10 people side by side and back to back in a testing room, fucking 15 by 25. You know what I mean? Something like that. You could hear everybody moving around in their chair. You could hear whenever somebody adjusted themselves. We all were working off of one long desk with this one little tiny partition between us. It was way too small for the size of the group that we had. And I told the woman at the end, but there's nothing she could do about it. And because I was so prepared, it did not affect my test. It did not affect my ability to take the test. But had I been even a little bit less prepared, and had my confidence not been as high as it was, that those environmental factors could have thrown me off. And when I got up to use the bathroom, the time did not pause. The time was going against me. So do not eat a lot before your test. Obviously, eat something so that you're not hungry and so that you could focus. But don't eat so much that your stomach is heavy, and don't eat so much that you have to go to the bathroom. And don't drink so much that you have to go to the bathroom. Do as much as you can to make yourself comfortable before the test as possible. I actually limited the amount of food that I ate in the days leading up to the test. Like, I didn't eat as much because I didn't want my stomach hurting, or I didn't want to have to use the bathroom or anything like that. I used the bathroom once. I was out of my seat for 60 seconds, 90 seconds, and then I was back in my chair. I got up again because I had to cough, and I used that opportunity to like splash water on my face and do that. And then I was back in my chair, less time than the first time. And I still had 25 minutes left when I finished reviewing my flagged questions. I flagged about 15 questions for review. I went back, I did all of those, I ended the review, I confirmed it, and then I saw the screen that said congratulations. And it was indescribable. I can't tell. I'm not even going to go into everything that went into passing this exam, but it was phenomenal, and a phenomenal feeling. I immediately texted my friends and family afterwards, letting them know I passed. So that is my advice to you. As far as the exam goes, look for the option that includes the team assessment. What is the team able to do working together to come up with a solution? Know the other aspects of it. Know the formation of the team. Know that teams are self-organizing, or that they should be. Know that teams should have generalizing specialists, right? The T-shaped people. Know that teams should decide how the work is going to be done, and know that the product owner is the one who prioritizes the work along with the stakeholders. Know that stakeholders want to be kept appraised of project progress, even though they don't want to be in the meeting themselves. So you need to have information radiators readily available for them so that they can see the project progress, even though they're not right there attending the meeting. Know that the scrum master or the agile coach or the team facilitator should be educating the customer and the stakeholder on agile practices, educating them on why it's so important to attend these meetings. and to set proper expectations, to confirm requirements, so on and so forth. Know that the project sponsor is responsible for looking out for the project's success from an organizational standpoint. That they're interested in understanding they're interested in maintaining the integrity of the project from the organization's value analysis, from their value standpoint. Understand Scrum ceremonies, the daily stand-up, the sprint review, the sprint retrospective. Understand the purpose of the retrospective. Understand the questions that the team is supposed to ask themselves during the retro, during the daily stand-up. And if the options don't align with the purpose of the Scrum ceremony, then that is your confirmation that that option is not the correct option. And the correct option may be a vague description to do something that points in the direction of further discussion, further analysis, further contemplation. The right answer could just be saying, the right answer is none of these other options. That could be the right answer. Now, out of 120 questions, about 20 of those questions were analytical in nature or survey in nature. They did not count against my total exam score, or they did not count towards my total exam score, I should say. And so out of 120 questions, you're only being graded on 100 of those, and 70% will give you a passing score. I got above target in all of mine, so I probably got closer to like a 90% or above, so on and so forth. But these are the major things that I can remember right off the top of my head. I would have to think a little bit more in depth about other aspects of the test. The test had a mix of easy questions and hard questions. There were a few questions sprinkled throughout the test that kind of took the pressure off and just kind of had you reaffirm your understanding of what some things were. Like, they didn't ask you for the definition, but you had to know the definition in order to answer the question. And then there were some questions that were super convoluted in their wording. And when I came back to those questions that I flagged at the end of the test, I had this renewed sense of energy. I had this renewed sense of refreshment. Not being refreshed. I mean, yeah. Being refreshed mentally. That's what I'm trying to say. Because after 150 minutes, I was mentally fatigued. I'm not going to lie. Just sitting in the chair, staring at the computer screen. It's not the most comfortable screen. It's, these are testing site materials. So the screen was like between 720 and 1080. I don't even think it was 1080. It was like a 720 resolution screen. Probably like 18 inches. It's not like, you're all on modern equipment and a comfortable office chair. You're sitting on dated furniture, looking at dated computer screen, but you do have the benefit of flagging your question for a review. You do have the benefit of striking through wrong answers. You do have the benefit of putting comments, individual comments on each question and coming back to them. You do have the benefit of a marker and a dry eraser and paper, a laminated paper to make your notes on. And I did make use of those. Even though I drew a blank when it came to like a couple of the agile principles, the 12 principles, I was still more than prepared to answer the questions given my understanding and rationale of how to eliminate the wrong answers. And so that's pretty much the approach that I took for it. Eliminating the wrong answers is the first step. And then eliminating the wrong answers is the first step. And then you'll usually have it down to like two answers. It's like, damn, it could be this one or this one. And then that's when you have to go back and say, okay, what is the purpose of this? What comes first? Okay, this is a spike. Okay, spikes are usually done at the beginning of the project, not mid-project. So it can't be this one, it has to be this one. And so I would use my understanding of what things were and when things were, and I would apply them to the question, eliminating wrong options, leaving me with one overwhelming choice in most cases. There were a few flagged questions that I was just like, I think this is the right answer, and I don't have any more mental acuity. I don't have any more mental energy to put into analyzing this question anymore. So I'm just going to choose the best answer that I think it could be. And I prayed for God's grace, and it was enough. It was enough. I bought 4 or 5 books to study from. 2 books ended up being my main bread and butter. I bought the PrepCast practice exam simulator, and that ended up not being worth its weight in gold. It wasn't completely useless because it did get me used to the situational aspect of answering questions, but it was not consistent with the types of questions that I see on the exam, and I understand that now. I did use the YouTube video, the 200 PMP practice questions. That was incredibly useful. And I'm so glad I took the time to watch that 7-hour video and to take notes. And the day before the exam, which was yesterday, I did not study at all. I did not take a single note. And I got to the exam location about 30 minutes, 35 minutes before my test time, before my check-in time, so that I could just kind of go over the agile values and principles one more time, reread the exam objectives one more time, defining them as I read them, going back, flipping through the book one more time. And it was to my benefit. I did have a breakfast. It was not heavy at all. I made sure I was comfortable. I got up, I showered. I made sure that I was physically comfortable for the exam. Made sure that I was physically okay to sit there for an hour and 50 minutes and answer questions back to back to back. And it was enough. It was sufficient. It was more than sufficient. And so I'm super excited. I'm happy. I'm grateful. I went through so many things to read about how people were approaching this test. I read Reddit forums, YouTube videos, TikToks, personal blogs online. I went through the PMI website. I went through so many different sources to gain a better understanding of what the test was like, what patterns people noticed throughout the exam that they think helped contribute to their passing score. And people kind of gave what they could, just like me now. I'm giving what I can, but for the person who hears this, you're going to have a unique testing experience unto you, and only you know what truly prepared looks like, feels like, and I hope you can get there. But I just want to say that this exam is very doable. Give yourself 6 to 8 weeks of solid study time. And the last 3 weeks, I think I was studying fairly well since August. And then in the last 3 weeks leading up to the exam, or maybe even 4 weeks, I went to the library every day after work and I sat there for about at least 3 to 4 hours. I went every day on the weekends, and I sat there for at least 4 hours, and I studied and I took notes, and I got myself into the headspace for this exam. And don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. Don't think that you're too old. Don't think that you've been out of school too long. It only takes a few days to get back into that prime study mode in your head. And another thing that I did, I don't want to get too airy for folks, but another thing that I did was I um I did my affirmations. I did my visionary statements. I envisioned passing the exam. I envisioned doing well. I said positive affirmations. I wrote affirmations. I journaled. I drew pictures of me passing the exam. Um, I I cannot tell you all of the different things that I did to focus on passing this exam. And then it was like a bell went off or a switch got turned on in my head. And I believed. I believed in myself. I felt more confident. I walked into this exam more confident than probably any other exam that I've taken. And that is what I needed in order to pass. And that is what you will need in order to pass. Your confidence. And as you lead up to the exam, take away anything, remove anything from your daily life that is not consistent with the confidence that you need to pass this test. Take negativity out of your life. Stop talking to as many people. Go MIA for a little bit, just for a few weeks. Keep conversations short. Don't talk on the phone as much. Don't let people get in your ear. Don't let people come at you with their bad, negative stories. Avoid the negative and unlucky, and just keep your vibration high. Keep your energy high. Keep your visions positive in the days and weeks leading up to the exam to help ensure that you are in the prime mental state to answer as many questions correctly as possible. Now, I know this is getting long, so I'm going to stop here. But yeah, I took the PMI-ACP exam today, October 5th, 2024, and I passed an above target in all domains. Good luck, guys.